Okay. Alright. I think I am live. I have no idea what I'm doing. And alright. I think I am live. Damn it. What the fuck? Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing. And alright. I think I am live. Damn it. What the fuck? Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me try to turn off the volume. Okay. Alright, cool. Okay, so welcome to my channel. I was hoping to not be able to see the comments and stuff, so actually let me see if I can get to that and then come back. Yeah, actually, no, I don't know. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to go. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat that my plan that I put in the previous video that I was gonna do, that I ended up going live for 2 seconds, but then I had to shut it down because I didn't realize it was happening and I wasn't prepared. But yeah, so anyways, I have been very nervous about going live, and I feel like I have good information and perspectives to give to the world. So I'm gonna just start out with this and know that I am not going to be perfect right off the bat and try to just improve as I go along. So, and I had no idea about what I was doing when I set up my StreamYard and connected it to my computer, and I thought I had I got this microphone set up, but I don't think it's actually hooked up. I think it's just hooked up to my headphones, and I wasn't planning on wearing these, but so I was hoping to not be tipsy, but I think maybe the tipsy thing will be good for now because I can actually present. So anyways, welcome to my channel, A Cab True Crime. I am A Cab True Crime, or LD Dorino, and this is my lovely cat Leela, who's had a couple of sneezing fits recently, which sucks. So she's just been taking it easy, but she's adorable, and this is her. And then yeah, I wanted to, I guess, so what I had set up before, when I went live and then stopped going live, was I wanted to do, I think, a half an hour of introduction to this case that I think is really important and that I want to talk about. And then I would put it on pause for 5 minutes or take a little break and then read over any comments that might have been put into the live comments or whatever, and then answer those questions in the last 20 minutes, and then spend maybe the last 5 or 10 minutes talking about what I plan to do in the future. And yeah, so I'll just jump right into this case. I think it's super important. It's definitely not been discussed a lot in the media, and I think it should have been. Also, I'm just gonna say, I had a whole thing set up, and I had a green screen, and I was making a YouTube video, but I don't know how to do that on StreamYard, so maybe I'll figure it out. But yeah, my background is pretty dingy and pathetic, so maybe I won't feel bad smoking a cigarette and maybe some weed while I'm doing this live. But anyways, yeah, and maybe in the future or throughout this video I'll get into my background and why maybe you might be interested in shit that I have to say. But I think I will just start off with the general idea that I want to present this case, and I think it's really important, so I'm going to do that, and then I will go into maybe some of my opinions and recommendations for the future. Okay, so there is a case that, well, it's okay, so it's a true crime case currently that's going on, and it involves a little 11-year-old girl in Iberia Parish in Louisiana. And So, all right. So I will. Yeah. So, anyways, this 11-year-old girl has been locked up for the last 5 months, since November 29th of last year, 2023, and she has not been given a trial yet, and she has not been sentenced. She was actually arrested on first-degree murder, which to me, for an 11-year-old, is just insane, and no one seems to be really paying attention to this case or talking about it, and I think it's really important. So, um, yeah. So anyways, I will just kind of briefly go over the limited information that we have on this case. Also, I'm going to say it's 1:50, so I'm going to try to be done by 1:20, like presenting this case. And then I will go into the other shit that I talked about. So, any hoozles, yeah, I'll just give you the limited information that I currently have, or that the public currently has in this case, and then go into some of the court procedures that have happened like previously and that are going to happen in the future, and then just some of my thoughts and opinions on the case. So I might have already just said that, but whatever. I'm also like 420 friendly, so cheers to everyone. This will be, and I'm drinking a warm cider too because I was nervous and it just felt like a safety blanket to have it around. But all right, so take a little sip. I just had like a roller chair in the apartment above me, and yeah, I wonder if they can hear what I'm saying. Doesn't matter. Maybe they should jump on the live. Okay, so there, like I said, in Iberia Parish in Louisiana, there has been a 11-year-old little girl who has been incarcerated. So I'll give you the background on the actual case that she was arrested for. It took place on November 19th, 2023, and a 36-year-old white man named Cameron Bedsole was found shot to death outside of his house. And the last person to have been seen with him is this 11-year-old girl. And she was supposedly, her and her family were neighbors of his. Like next door to where or like on the same block, or neighbors of him where he was found shot. And so that was the only information that was released like when the investigation started. So the law enforcement and the different so prosecutors and law enforcement just released that very limited information, and then 2 weeks later they arrested the 11-year-old, and right after they arrested the 11-year-old they asked for a gag order on the case. But it's super shady and totally bullshit because they like requested this gag order, and it's like, you're gonna arrest an 11-year-old girl and then you're gonna like ask for a gag order, so you don't have to actually explain like why you arrested this 11-year-old girl. Like that seems like a total cop out to me, and pretty bullshit, and especially for such like a fragile child, like, you know, an 11-year-old child, like to be arrested. It's like you better have some like evidence to back that up. But in my opinion, it doesn't even matter like what evidence you have. It's just like never okay to arrest an 11-year-old and like incarcerate them for 5 months without even like, this little girl has not been able to talk to her family for the last 5 months, and she has not been offered a trial, and she hasn't even been given a hug, you know, like in development, if you know anything about like human development and any of this stuff that's like important to. Okay, I feel like my headphones are saying that they're dying, which is so ridiculous right now if that's the truth. Damn it. Okay, so what the fuck? Okay, so my headphones might have died. And I bet it's gotten a lot quieter. Okay, so let me just pause this real quick and try to find a fucking another set. I wish I knew how to hook this stupid microphone up to work. Okay. Okay, I found some headphones. So I've been live for 10 minutes. So I have 20 minutes and counting. I feel like I need to like keep in mind to like not keep rambling on and whatnot. So yeah, back to my opinion about arresting 11-year-old. Okay, and also I do have a little bit of a background in doing and working with juvenile justice kids. I have been trained as a clinical psychologist, and I've worked in different correctional settings. I've talked about this like in my past videos too. And I mean, I don't want to like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything to discredit what I know. But I'm sure there's lots of people that have had many more years of practice and whatnot, but whatever. So yeah, I definitely do have years of experience as a clinical psychologist working in prisons in Minnesota. And I have also worked with Hennepin County, which is like Minneapolis, with juvenile defendants, like from the juvenile justice, criminal justice system, and had some, yeah, varied experiences with all of them. Like I've done psych evaluations, I've done therapy. So, and like that's with both adult and child offenders. So, yeah. So, in my eyes, I just don't see how you could ever charge a child that's 11 years old with any sort of crime, especially a first degree murder case. Like, to, I mean, that basically assumes that this child has been able to have the cognition and like the capability to plan a murder and then like be able to actually follow through with it, which is just kind of insane. And not possible because they're 11 and like their brains literally like don't allow them to have that happen. So, and I think there's so much wrong in the United States and the criminal justice systems, like both in the adult and the juvenile, to like just in terms of like who's making the decisions behind like, you know, what's considered to be competent and like who should be considered to be an adolescent and like tried in like the juvenile courts versus the adult courts. So, and and it's all kind of bullshit actually. So, and I guess I will also just add that from those years of experience working with the Minnesota Department of Corrections and Hennepin County Juvenile Justice and Hennepin County Mental Health, like Hennepin County is legit. I mean, not legit, like, I mean, they're all like legit, but like um, Hennepin County is cooler than the Minnesota Department of Corrections for sure. But yeah, anyways, I ended up getting, oh, so yeah, I ended up getting fired from the Minnesota Department of Corrections. I live very close to George Floyd Square, and I was fired right around the exact same time period as George Floyd, and I participated in some of the cleanup efforts like after the riot happened, and I definitely consider myself to be someone who experienced like a kind of almost, I mean, honestly, it was kind of like a war zone. I don't mean to be dramatic, and I definitely know that there's way worse war zones, but it was just pretty fucked up to be in Minneapolis during those times. And I was working at the DOC at the time and kind of being outspoken about my beliefs, and I just was not, I'm like definitely like more of like a Black Lives Matter than back the blue type of person. And those motherfuckers fired me. So, and like kind of ruined my life in a little bit of a way, but I don't want to give them that much, you know, credit or weight, but it's definitely true. And but now I'm like learning to figure all that out. But that's just probably a story for a different day. And I wanted to talk about this little girl. So, anyways, so this child, like I was saying, I feel like I what maybe okay. So like what gives me some type of backing to discuss these things, and maybe give it a little bit more weight than someone just like providing their opinion, is that I have that background that I just listed. So that's why I was talking about that. And I have like a screen this way and a screen this way too. So if I keep looking in different places, that's why. Okay, so like I said, this Cameron Bedsole dude was murdered outside of his home. He was shot to death on November 14th, and then no one was arrested. And then 2 weeks later, they arrest this 11-year-old girl, and they put her in a, they like, and started, so they started putting her in a place where her family couldn't see her. She didn't get a hug. She was able to be intimidated by the people that were, I just want to make sure that I am like, okay, cool. Yeah, and then, I'm going to put that down. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm distracted right now, but I'm going to get back on focus. Let me just take a little second. Okay. So there's so many things wrong about the fact that this 11-year-old girl is incarcerated, and I just want to go over a couple of the fucked up things that have happened since she was arrested, and then I want to talk about, I just basically want to get the story out there because I think it's really important, and I, again, am going to give it recommendations for people to, in moving forward. So, okay, after she was arrested, basically, okay, what's disgusting is like it was pretty clear that she was just arrested as a pawn, and that they being law enforcement, like had an idea that her brother and mother maybe had something to do with it. And so basically they arrested this 11-year-old girl just to like scare her and try to convince her to testify against her 15-year-old brother and her mom. And just imagining an 11-year-old girl uh, having to be in a situation where she's being pressured to discuss things that happened. Okay, here's my other thing about this is like, why, like, okay, so it's just crazy to me that as a law enforcement officer or anyone that's involved in law enforcement, if you're like showing up to a crime scene where there's like a 36-year-old dude that was shot dead, like, and the last person he was seen hanging out with was an 11-year-old girl, like, I'm not gonna be asking him, like, I'm not gonna think the 11-year-old girl like murdered him, like first degree or whatever. I'm gonna think like, what the fuck did this dude do where this 11-year-old child, like, if that is actually what happened, like, what did he do to her to like make her feel like she needed to defend herself to enough where she ended up murdering someone? But then you end up hearing that like she has like this 15-year-old brother, but again they have this gag order on the case, so they can't talk about any information that they have, or no one can. So as in the public, we don't know actually what the situation is, so it's just completely up to the prosecution and law enforcement to create like a narrative around this. And so it's just like pretty uneven and just not fair in terms of the state and their power and whatever. So anyways, I'm sorry I'm like nervous and a little tipsy. I feel like this is definitely like kind of not that great of a life, but I'm gonna try to redirect myself towards the other things I'm talking about that I want to talk about. So all right, so I'm gonna talk about the things that I think that are fucked up, like so shady and unethical legal maneuvers. And also I should say, like, I've been going through like all these different, no, I don't need to talk about that right now. All right, so like I talked about, there is this gag order, and it's just basically created so the state can manipulate the witness and exploit the family, in my opinion. And so let's see what else. Okay, Also, oh yeah, and this is the crazy thing that basically makes it for sure, I think in my mind that, like, all this is bullshit. Like, oh, they're like gonna ask for a gag order. Like, okay, so with all minor cases, like any minor that's under 18 that has like a case, a criminal justice case, they end up, oh, it ends up being automatically uh, unidentifiable or like anonymous. So, and like the reason why they do that is because they don't want the charges from when this person was a child to like follow them into adulthood. And so, like, pretty much, I think the rules all the way around are that, like, in the country, that like you can't release like identifying information about a juvenile offender. So the prosecution in this case ended up asking for a gag order, and they said it was like, because I think they tried to like frame it as they were protecting this little like girl, but that was already supposed to like be taking place, and that's just concerning identifying information like the child's like address and full name. But get this, so then the fucking police and the law enforcement, no, the prosecution, or maybe it's either way, it was like either it was the state of some sort. Like this is done in Louisiana. They ended up breaching confidentiality about the information about the kid anyways. So so yeah, this is what I wrote. So I tried to start a substack. At first I tried it. I've been going back and forth about how I should get this information out there because I'm just nervous, and it's taking me a lot to get it out there. But anyway, so I'm gonna like read you what I wrote from my Substack that I have not published yet. I said, despite the state's insistence on a gag order, the authorities and prosecution illegally released the minor child's full name and picture to the media with the intent for the information to be shared with the public after her arrest. So this careless act not only violated the standard procedures of protecting a child's anonymity, but also endangered her safety and well-being, especially considering the gravity of the charges against the child. So the reasons why initially this was supposed to be against the rules, um, is completely forgotten about. I mean, it's just like, I think in my idea, in my mind, like that's just proof that the fucking prosecution in the state doesn't give a shit. They're not thinking about the child in this. They're actually just like, they don't give a fuck about the kid. They're like using it as leverage to try to erase their families. It's just like, dude, like, and like since it all happened, they've obviously been like laser focused on these kids. And again, before, like, it's kind of like, why do you think that these kids like murdered this 36-year-old dude? Like, why aren't we asking what the fuck the 36-year-old dude was doing with an 11-year-old girl who he wasn't related to and like had no business being with her? You know what I mean? To me, that suggests, and I have worked with sex offenders before in prison, for at least 2 years. I worked in maximum security facilities in the Department of Corrections of Minnesota. I worked at Lana Lakes in the sex offender treatment program there, and I also worked in the Rush City like Oasis program, which is also like a sex offender program, and yeah, and like training those. So I definitely have experience like working with some major sex offenders, and um, to me that is screams what the fuck with this dude that's hanging out with an 11-year-old like unsupervised, like just the two of them. To me, it sounds like he's probably fucking raping this little girl. But then maybe her family comes, this is my theory, but I don't know. But from initially hearing the case, like it's like, to me it's like maybe this little girl's family comes up and like realizes, or they all know maybe he's been, sexually assaulting the little boy, like the 15-year-old that they ended up arresting, and the 11-year-old that they ended up arresting. And anyways, I feel like I'm going on a little tangent there, but so yeah, I think you get my point probably in terms of all of that. Yeah, I said it, like the fact that they released all that information with this little girl shows that they didn't give a fuck about her.
And also, it raises serious questions about the ethics and the responsibilities of those entrusted with protecting the rights and dignity of these children. Well, also like individuals, but children. Um, all right, so then I go into also talking about kind of the use and exploitation of this 11-year-old girl as leverage, or like basically as a pawn to try to get the people who they thought actually committed this crime, like um, uh, arrested, which was her 15-year-old brother, which is still a fucking child. And again, we don't have any information about this. So, okay, let me finish telling you about what actually happened. Um, like with the court cases. So okay, so dude gets murdered on November 14th, and then she gets arrested, and the 11-year-old gets arrested on November 29th. This is last year, 2023. And then sometime in December, the little girl's mother and brother were arrested. And obviously, it was based off of like, well, no, what it was decided was that this little girl would take a plea deal, like a fucking plea deal, like not, we're going to send her home to her family. She has family that is like, begging for her to come home, and they're like, "Hey, we will take care of her." It's not like she doesn't have a family that doesn't want her around. Like, this is literally the state keeping this 11-year-old child away from her family without any evidence and no like justification for it. I mean, if you think about like the betterment of a society and like why you actually are using incarceration, like why does the prison system, justice system exist, period, to me, it should be like we're trying to make the community safer, right? Like we're trying to get people to not continuously hurt each other and like complete this like cycle of abuse. Um, and it's 100% been proven. And like I said, I have a history of like working clinically as a psychologist with this shit, and there is no evidence that when children and adults are incarcerated that they're especially like more restrictive and longer sentences that they're going to do any better. It's actually like shown that they're going to do worse, like they're going to be like there's much higher risk of recidivism, which is like reoffending. So it basically just, to me, the only thing that would say is just like, why, we're obviously just punishing these kids and adults, and it's not actually making the community safer. So what's, is that really what we want to do as a society? Like, I think we should think about that. um but to me, just period, regardless, so I'm like an abolitionist. Like, I know that is gonna like turn off like a lot of people, but fuck um the law enforcement. I mean, I feel like every single case, there's always some fucked up shit that's happening, and it's just not necessary. I think that we would do much better off with a completely different system, and I'm willing to definitely put my neck out there. And like, like I said before, like I got fired from the DOC, the Department, like Minnesota Department of Corrections, like after George Floyd, and like after I'd spent like a ton of time and like, oh my gosh, like so much time and energy and whatever. And now, I kind of was like a little butthurt about it, and I was like, what the fuck? But now looking back, I'm like, this was a favor to me because, I mean, you can't change the system from inside. Like, if it's a shitty system, like, you need to be on the outside, and like, you need to be basically like trying to start a revolution. So that is kind of what my intentions of this channel are. But going back to this, like, little child, who's been like ripped away from her family like unjustly for no reason except just punishment. So yeah, so they already like arrested this fucking little girl, 11-year-old girl, who, again, like I have a bunch of information that is going to be like included in my Substack article that I've been writing, and I think it sounds really good, and that's what I'm reading right now. But it's just like I was like, I just need to get this out, and I will. Sometimes writing seems harder than talking. So I was like, well, I'll just talk, and then I can like go back and finish up whatever I need to write with what I said, because I feel like I know all this information, but when it comes to writing, I'm like, oh, like how should I present it? but anyway, so yeah, so like it was like obvious that they arrested this little girl, like this 11-year-old little girl, to like fucking basically make sure that they could arrest her brother and her mother, like for committing the murder in itself. And then instead of just letting her go back to the family that's been asking for her to be released back to them, and they have kept her like incarcerated the entire time. And oh yeah, instead of letting her off, and like she was charged with first degree murder. That's what they initially arrested her on. And after she, I guess like snitched or whatever, like they forced her to like say information that incriminated her brother and mother. Um, that instead of just letting her off, they were like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll drop the first degree murder charges, but um, we are still going to charge her with obstruction of justice," and they want to charge her as I think maybe an adult, but even if they're not charging her as adult, they're still seeking like 6.5, 7 years sentence for her. I mean, I guess actually, if you think about that, 7 year sentence would be when she was 18, but like there is no evidence that like going and being involved in the system like helps anyone whatsoever. And it's just there is so much shady shit behind it. I mean, first of all, it's a for-profit system. So there's motivation to like always keep incarcerating people. And like when you involve children, it's just disgusting. To me, I just don't understand how we actually are arresting 11-year-old children, like, I mean, away from their families without any solid evidence. Like, that is so fucked up. Like, I think it should be illegal. If it's not illegal, it definitely fucking should be illegal. Um, so check out my Substack. I've been working on it for a while, and I have been writing a lot. And I think I will maybe link it in the description of this video later on. Um, because I have so much more that I want to talk about. Like the different sections that I'm saying are like impact of incarceration of hers, and then the systematic failures and like the racism that exists like within the justice system that makes like all of this just even more fucked up. And then the recommendations for like what we should do, and like different organizations that we can get involved with, and different ways that you can speak out against this. I mean, to me, I'm just like, wow, like we hear so much about all this shit. Like, honestly, like I spent a ton of this weekend like researching OJ Simpson after because he just died last week. I mean, if the time and energy that I put into researching OJ Simpson's court case, it's way over with. I mean, he was found not guilty in the 90s, which means he can't be recharged again. I mean, at least he couldn't be criminally. And then, oh my god, he was so ridiculous. Though I should make like another live about him. That whole thing is just that's it's interesting, um, and sad and tragic just all around. But yeah. So to get back to all of that, I have more shit to talk about, and more reasons, and like I guess just thoughts and opinions and recommendations for moving forward, and trying to get the word out, because I think that this is probably one of the most important cases. Oh, that's what I was saying. This is one of the more important cases, like versus OJ Simpson's case that's like already been done with forever. And so, yeah. Anyway, so I said I was going to talk about the case that I just talked about for a half an hour, and then I was like going to go back and read maybe some of the comments and stuff. But I don't think I've seen any comments, which is awesome. And I was actually hoping that I would like be able to just like I really just want to like record something and not have to worry about it being so fine chiseled and perfect, and being able to release that as like my content. But I also like don't want to worry about having to check with the like audience and live stream all the time, because it is kind of distracting, and I kind of a lot of times just want to talk about. I mean, I can get obviously off on like so many tangents so easily. Um, so the chat does not help with that. And yeah, um, So I said I was gonna like review for like 5 minutes in the chat and like respond to any questions that people had. And then I was gonna spend the last 10 minutes like talking about like what I would be doing in the future. And I think I will just ignore the part where I review the discussion and answer any questions because that's not possible because there are no questions. And then just spend the next 10 minutes talking about. I'm really staying. It's like right now I'm recording. It's 3:05. Well, it just turned to 36. And like if I did another 10 minutes talking about what I plan to do next time, that would leave me exactly with the 15 minutes that I had allotted myself from reviewing in the chat and then answering questions for 10 minutes. So I'm usually pretty shitty with time management, so I'm proud of myself. Yeah, so I think what my goals are, and I think it's important to put things into the world and that's helpful to manifest. It's like as long as I'm still talking about it and saying shit, like it's better than nothing. So I'm gonna say that my goal moving forward after this live stream is to continue creating content. Like hopefully I think okay, so this is gonna be my goal. I'm gonna like create one piece of content every day. I have to do it like at least once a day, even if it's just 30-second, you know, um, TikTok video or something, which I have no idea really how to do TikTok or sometimes like talking about like streaming on Instagram. That sounds interesting. I have no idea like how I go about that, but even if I do these shorter ones, because sometimes I do have just something short to say, like because I'm obsessed with like a lot of true crime cases. Like right now, I'm super into obviously the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Like Chad Daybell is currently um, on trial for capital murder. It's a death penalty case in Idaho, and it's like in the third week, and I think that they're thinking it's supposed to go. I don't know, like another month or month and a half or something. I guess we'll see. I think that case is super interesting, and I think that overlaps a lot with some of my interest in terms of mental health and just ability, like societal pressure, and like who should be held competent or who is like at fault and all of this stuff. But yeah, so that case I'm really interested in right now. And then I feel like I always hear about different stuff like throughout the week that I'm just like, oh yeah, like I have an opinion about that. And I feel like these other people are saying shit that doesn't make sense and is stupid. And I have shit that I should also put out there that people can have an option to consider as well. So I think I want to also make room in the future for that. And I think if I say creating at least one piece of content each week, no, not each week, every day. Okay, every day. Okay, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, but it has to be at least. Oh, I fucking no, it needs to be a piece of content every single day. I think. I think that would be what would be the best for me. So I'm gonna do that, regardless of how long it is. And I have so much shit I have researched and I want to say, and that I mean I like literally like you guys have no idea like how much time I've spent researching and coming up with shit and like basically setting it all up with all these different like PowerPoint presentations and like writings and all these plans like for my content channel, but then just never completely following through on it. So, and that's why I just need to get this video out tonight. And that's why I need to just say that I'm once a day going to produce a piece of content. And then I think I will be able to like, get more used to it and become better and also get feedback from people to see what people are thinking about and what they think is best. So I hope that all of this isn't too stupid. And I think, oh yeah, so I still need to make a plan for just plan for the future, but specifically tomorrow. I think I'm gonna say that I'm just gonna try to do another live stream tomorrow. at some point. So I have plans to catch a bite to eat tomorrow afternoon with a friend of mine that I actually haven't seen for a super long time. So it'll be interesting. But I was hoping to maybe do some work after that. So I think I will plan on coming back here and just jumping on a live tomorrow. I think I'll schedule it for, I'm going to say like 7 o'clock because I have plans to grab a bite at 3 tomorrow. And so then that gives me more than enough time to have food and then come back here and start streaming again. And I think what I will end up talking about, I'll take some time to like review what I want to discuss and then I'll set up the live like I did earlier that I kind of failed about. But I will aim to keep it to be like an hour long live stream, and I will put out there like kind of the um, amount of time that I'm going to spend in the order of the like subjects that I'm going to talk about, so that way if not like if you don't want to like be here for like the whole hour but you're specifically interested in like more information about the case that I just talked about, or you're interested in the other case that I put on the description for the live stream tomorrow that I'm going to talk about, I think I probably, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say tomorrow. I mean, honestly, I just want to really focus on this particular case right now with this 11-year-old girl because it is currently happening and I think it's just super fucked up and a lot of people, like I said, are not discussing it or don't know about it. So I think where my energy and time and opinions would be best used is on this case that again is taking place in Iberia Parish, which is the same as a county for people that don't know, down south in Louisiana. And yeah, so I will jump back in to that tomorrow and maybe I'll re-listen to this. Actually, this is a good idea to keep it like an hour because before when I was doing like 3 hours, it was like hard to review. But this way, tomorrow, if it's only like 45 minutes, I can easily review and then come back in and kind of be able to plot out like what I think is relevant to talk about and what else to discuss. So, also, I am at about 43 minutes, so I have 2 minutes left. I just want to say thank you to anyone who is watching this or spent the time. If you made it this far, like, wow, good job. Or not, maybe not good job, I don't know. Yes, it is good job. And thank you for bearing with me, and I promise it'll get better as we go. There's one more thing that I was going to say. Shit. 2 minutes. Yeah, okay, so I can't completely remember, but yeah. So thank you, and again, I'm ACAB True Crime, and yeah, damn it, I wish I fucking remember what I was gonna say. This always happens to me. Okay. Well, I think that is a sign that I should get going, and thank you to everyone that has listened, and please drop in tomorrow at 7 while I talk about shit, and I'll be a little more prepared, I think, tomorrow, and have a little more confidence, so hopefully most people just skip this video and watch. So, but okay, well, I hope everyone has a good night, and I'm sure you will be having a better night than this fucking 11-year-old girl that has been incarcerated for the last 5 months away from her parents. And oh, so yeah, so she took this fucking plea deal where she had to like rat out her brother and her mom, and then they still only offered her like 6.5 years to 7 years incarceration like at this point, which is just so fucking disgusting. Um, so anyways, hope you're having a better night than her, but it's not hard. And Leela and I will have a good night and hopefully not overthink what I just did in this live stream. Okay. All right. Peace and love. Bye.